On this episode of the Hanford Insider, we'll get an update from Kevin Nickell on the courthouse renovations. Rob will highlight some of this week's community events, and I'll be back with your sports report. This is the Hanford Insider for Monday, January 19th.
Welcome to the Hanford Insider Podcast. I'm Rob Bentley, and each episode we highlight the people and the places that shape our community. In community news, it was announced last week that Community Service Officer Tony Braz is retiring after 11 years of service with the Hanford Police Department. In a celebration in her honor, Chief Stephanie Huddleston said that Tony consistently performed beyond the call of duty, delivering unmatched productivity. In her final year alone, she authored an impressive 227 cases, which was the highest completed by any member of the department. Congratulations, Tony, on a well-deserved retirement. The Hanford City Council will be meeting on Tuesday, January 19th, and boy, do they have a loaded agenda. In the afternoon study session, they'll receive a report on the landscape and lighting districts, and they'll review a comprehensive report for the end of the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. They'll also be continuing the discussion of hiring a new city manager. In the general session at 7, they have many items on the consent calendar, and they also have a public hearing regarding the new Copper Ridge mixed-use project being proposed across from Freedom Park. In general business, they have 4 items, including the agreement with the new city manager who will be announced. And given the developments in the last month, it's sure to be our current interim city manager, Chris Tavares. Don't forget, if you can't make the meeting in person, you can watch the proceedings live on the city website. Mayor Mark Kyrus will have a Wednesday wrap-up following the meeting, which I'll repost here on the Insider. Let's take a look at this week's community calendar. Don't forget, Monday is the Dr. Martin Luther King celebration at the Hanford Civic Auditorium. It kicks off with a free breakfast at 9 a.m., and then there will be presentations and activities for the whole family. On Saturday, January 24th, there's a watercolor essentials class being held at the King's Art Center. Visit kingsartcenter.org for more details. On Saturday evening, there's a bachata salsa social at the Patty Dance Studio. Visit pattystudio.com for more information. Coming up on Saturday, January 28th, you'll have your chance to talk with Hanford City Council member Travis Payton and Public Works Director Russ Sterling at the Council Corner. This will be held at Me and Ed's Pizza on 10th and Fargo from 5:30 to 7 p.m. This is your chance to get your questions answered. If you have an event coming up, large or small, and you'd like some help getting the word out, let's work together. Send your information to hanfordinsider@gmail.com. Be sure to subscribe to my weekly newsletter to get a complete calendar of events. It's the most comprehensive community calendar available. If you're a lover of Hanford and old buildings, you're going to love this episode. I have with me today Mr. Kevin Nickell from Esteemed Land Company. He and his partner Jason Carvalho own Esteemed Land Company and Carvalho Construction and BarrelHouse Brewing. And we know that they have something brewing at the old courthouse building in Hanford. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thank you. Good morning.
Kevin, the history of the courthouse building is so fascinating. It was actually constructed in 1896. In 1914, they expanded it. And in 1977, when the new government center was built on Lacey Boulevard, the building was put on the National Register of Historic Places. In the 1980s, developer Max Walden worked on the building and developed Courthouse Square with the merry-go-round and some features there. And I have a little special tie to that I'll share in just a few minutes. But Kevin, we are so excited for what's happening at the courthouse. But before we talk about the courthouse specifically, let's talk a little bit about the history of Esteemed Land Company and maybe some of your goals.
Oh, right on. I learned a little history from you right there. I didn't know about the early 1977. I didn't know those dates. It's kind of good. Every day we learn a little something about that building, so which is pretty cool. But as far as Steam Land was actually developed. The most recent, actually, it's the newest addition to our portfolio with Jason and I. We started as building contractors. So we started, Jason right out of Cal Poly, went to work for Granite Construction. And I was working for, actually, it was Cambridge Homes, which got bought out by Lennar. Early in Lennar days, I was one of the first Lennar employees and worked as a superintendent for those guys, and then moved over to another builder on Central Coast while Jason worked at Granite Construction in Santa Maria. And him and I just grew up together. He's my cousin. We grew up together, and we always talked construction, and I just always liked the fact that he was doing big bridges and roads and multi-million-dollar stuff and just interesting things, But that, we're builders, we're contractors. And I was in 2006, we started Carvalho Construction. I was, we went into, should I say, I was successful, slow starting, and then 2008 hit, and we all know what happened there. But what the good thing was, and I didn't realize it now, looking back, but, we went in with absolutely no debt. We didn't go out, we weren't buying stuff. Well, all these other contractors had spooled up for this big boom in construction. And then you saw the defaults in 2008. Well, that's, I was going to job bids, and I'm 1-2 people bidding jobs, and we had no overhead. So I was landing great projects and, had great experience. So we did really well between that 2008 and 2012 market for us. So our timing was good. And so I started building up a little bit of a nest egg, and I'm a saver. So I'm not one, I don't like to borrow money. I like to pay off debt and not have debt. And so Jason comes to me and he goes, you're kicking butt, He says, what do you think? There's this brewery that opened up the road at Buellton, and let's, what do you think about opening a brewery? And he was home brewing with another friend of ours that lived down the street from him. And it was, at first I'm like, this is kind of, this is kind of crazy. And I'm thinking, this isn't, what I want to do and not my plan. So he says, come on down here. He lived in Orchid at the time, so went down there, and I'd spent a lot of time visiting him on the weekends, and we went down to Fig Mountain Brewing Company, which is what it was in Buellton, and it looked really cool, and they were booming. I mean, the place was just packed, and it was like on a Wednesday or something. I thought, whoa, all right, this is pretty cool, They got great beer, and the vibe was good. And then shortly after, he gets me down to they actually had that year, the craft beer conference was in San Diego, and so I'm down on the floor of this monster convention center, and there's just all this just cool equipment and stainless and conveyance and packaging. And I walked out of that blown away. I thought, this is the coolest thing. Well, I'm looking at all the mechanics and the construction side of everything, and he was just totally engaged he's over there looking at the grain guys and the hop guys, and he's looking at the types of beer and how to make beer and all the different cool ways, and we're sitting in on all these seminars and classes, and he's over there educating himself on how to make great beer. And I'm over there figuring out, how do I build a place like this? This is the coolest stuff, So I think the contractor in us came out, and we didn't realize it. And, took a little while looking back going, wow, we were the perfect team for this. And that's how we kind of rolled into BarrelHouse. And there's more I can tell you about that, but just trying to summarize, kind of where we came from. So then next, we opened BarrelHouse. We get, years later, and it was 2013. So we've been open.
This was in Visalia, right?
No, this is in Paso Robles.
Oh, Paso. Okay.
Paso. And I can tell you a lot. I could tell you a lot of stories about where we started and all that good stuff, and how we picked a location and stuff. There's a lot of history there, and I could entertain you with a lot of wild, just stupid stuff that we did.
We'll have to have you back for sure. So you've got projects going in Hanford, but you have some other projects that you've done in Visalia. Did you do the BarrelHouse in Visalia as well?
Yeah, no, anything BarrelHouse.
Oh.
Anything BarrelHouse, we build. Carvalho Construction builds everything. Jason and I build everything for ourselves. So we build everything BarrelHouse. Our manufacturing facilities in Paso Robles. That's where we manufacture. We have tap rooms in Visalia, Fresno, and then now January 24th, we open the new one in Bakersfield.
Oh,
so we have a new one coming
very cool.
in Bakersfield.
All right, we'll get back to BarrelHouse in just a minute, but I want to kind of bring it back home to Hanford and the Wealth Building. A lot of people know it's a popular place for coffee now and the acai bar, and there's a lot about that building. There's stories to be told. What kind of businesses, before we get into the businesses, maybe just a little bit about that building and things that you had to do to make it suitable for all these businesses that are coming in.
Right on. We bought the Wealth Building. Actually, our Carvalho Construction Company used to have our office there in the Wealth Building. And the owner, Denver John Stone, who's now passed away, great man. I really had a lot of respect for him. He actually sold us the building, and he was after me for a while to buy it. I knew he was getting ready to retire, and so we bought the building from him. And he was older, and the building was really, he just couldn't keep up with it. But that old guy, 90 years old, up on a ladder every day, and they're working and trying to keep up on the building. It was, it's daily maintenance. A building that size, when you got tenant turnover, and he had vacancies too. He had a handful of them, quite a few of them actually at the time, just because he just couldn't market them and so forth. So we ended up buying the building from him. And then we just slowly started renovating. HVAC was a big one. The roof, there was roof leaks. There was just a lot of suites that weren't modernized or updated. Downstairs, he had the old Seaman shoe. You probably remember that. That stayed vacant for a long time. So we remodeled that, we brought in Divinity Clothing. She came in from downtown and moved in there. So we acquired the Wealth Building, and then we just started renovating everything. Every time there was a vacancy, we renovated, and then we started marketing it. My vision was that I believed that downtown, those downtown places could do very well. So we seeked out and met up with the Acai Bowl and Cafecito, which are great business. Actually, Cafecito came from the Fast Credit Union. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
So
they have Cornerstone in there now, but yeah, they originally were in the Fast Building.
Yeah, and he was, I think him and the Fast Credit Union were kind of at odds a little bit maybe at the time. Both great people, and I think they both have a great vision, but he just wasn't doing the business. But his product and his branding, I walked in there and I thought it was the coolest thing. I thought, man, this guy's got it going on. He's doing good, but he could do way better if he was over here and more visible. Nobody knows he's here. And I just thought, man, what an amazing coffee shop. This is the best coffee shop in Hanford, and he's hidden in here. And he's limited, by the bank hours. He can only be open when the bank was open. And he was frustrated by that, I think. And I could see it. So I convinced him to come over, and he came into the Wealth Building. I actually wanted him to take both those suites at the time. He was there before Cafecito, or before Acai Bowl. And he was a little nervous about taking that much and taking on that rent. And then about 3 months later, he comes to me and he goes, man, I should have taken the whole thing. He goes, we're cranking. So, but yeah, no, that's the Wealth Building. The Acai Bowl girls took the corner, and I, to my knowledge, they're doing really good. Great gals. Great gals.
And there's a new skateboard shop that opened on the corner there on 8th and Irwin.
Yes, yeah. And a new skateboard shop coming in. There's, and I don't know if I could speak too soon, but Cafecito might be expanding a little bit. Their spot, the suite to the south of them is going to be coming available later this year, and they're looking into maybe expanding their space. So that'd be a good thing for them.
One of the things that I find so interesting about that building is that the hidden gem is actually upstairs. So when so many of the buildings downtown are vacant in the upper stories, you've restored a lot of the upstairs office space for people to come in and do business. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, every one of those. I don't think there's any that we haven't gone through now. We eventually, as we have a turnover, There's very few. We have a laundry list. I mean, the list of people wanting in that building, I bet is probably 20 people deep at any given time. So
that's awesome.
Which is great. It's a great spot. The suites are, between $400 and $500 a month. They're inexpensive. It includes power. It's just a great trash, water, all that's included. We keep the building up. It's secure. The tenants love it. It's just a great spot for a small business, for somebody to start off if they need an office, esthetician, barber, lawyer, small office, family, what is it? The counselors, the family counselors and things like that. We have all that up there.
Now, around the corner from the skateboard shop, there's also the studio and the place where people can go and take pictures. And Monica Cano and her family have done an outstanding job with that business. That's part of the building as well, yeah?
That is. She's actually amazing. She actually does a lot of our, we actually hired her. Not only is she a tenant, we're a customer to her too also. She helps us a lot with our social media and things like that. So she does an amazing job, and she's doing really, really good.
Kevin, I mentioned earlier about the history, the outstanding history of the Kings County Courthouse, and along with the Civic Auditorium, that is one of the most iconic buildings in the city of Hanford. And when Max Walden took it over in the 1980s and started renovating it, I was telling you earlier that my family actually traveled up to Santa Cruz to the Cooper House, where he had renovated the courthouse up there for them. And we're so impressed by all the shops and businesses and everything. And Hanford really had some high hopes for that building. And unfortunately, it didn't pan out. And over the years, the building fell into disrepair, and something had to be done. Actually, the grand jury told the city at one point, you've got to do something about that building. It cannot stay in the condition that it's in. And here comes Esteem Land had a vision for the building. So let's go ahead and open this up. Let's talk about the vision for the building, some things that you've found, and what's to come.
Cool. Well, right now, our original plan is to put BarrelHouse upstairs. So we will do that. Like you said, the building had fallen into disarray, and that was the biggest hurdle, and we're challenged with that right now. So there's, I want to say from electrical, plumbing, mechanical, roof, all of that is in disarray. It needs a lot of love. We're working on all of that stuff now. We're working on the plumbing. We're starting at the bottom. We're working on the basement, working to the second floor, to the third floor, to put in our, all of our infrastructure so upstairs can thrive. As we know, everything flows downhill. Your water, your sewer, all that goes down, and all the stuff down bottom is in bad shape. We've pulled out about, I think, seven or eight 40-yard bins of just garbage and trash that's been in the building. So we've been working pretty hard on that right now, and we're trying to identify electrical, so forth. But right now, we would like to, first step one is to get all the infrastructure in the bottom, get all the utilities locked up tight, elevator modernized, wheelchair lift, ADA improvements, access to the building. We need to meet those requirements. Second is to go ahead, and we're doing this right now, we're marketing the lower floor and the second floor for tenants. But we need some tenants in there. And the good thing is, if the tenants get in early now, if they get secure and can do well now, they're going to do amazing once we get BarrelHouse upstairs. And we're going to look at a food purveyor also. We'll re-engage that kitchen. And there's a beautiful kitchen up there. It's in, well, I won't say, it's a beautiful kitchen when it's redone. All the bones are there. It's a wreck now. I think it's got about 6 inches of pigeon crap all over it. So, I mean, we're in there with shovels and trash cans scooping out pigeon crap. It's pretty rough. So but it's going to be awesome. When it's all done, it's going to be an amazing place. I believe it will change downtown Hanford, and it's going to change the dynamics of Hanford for sure.
So that explains why we don't see fencing up around the exterior. There's a whole heck of a lot of work that needs to be done inside first, yeah?
There is, yeah. The building is in great shape. Structurally, it's sound. Now, we looked at the Bastille a while back, and the Bastille is not sound. The Bastille has structural issues. There's actually, the city hired a structural engineer, and they have plans to show the repairs on that. And It has structural issues. Now, the courthouse does not. The courthouse is very, very sound, very, very well built and well established. There's nothing to be done on the outside, nor can we do anything on the outside because of the historic preservation of it. I mean, we probably could, but we'd have to petition and go through a process to do that. But we don't want to change the outside.
Yeah, that's actually a great example of neoclassical Romanesque style, architectural style. The Carnegie Museum is Richardson Romanesque, and this is neoclassical Romanesque. So that's why you see the curves and all the different ornate shapes on it. So you're required by the city. The agreement was that you're going to keep the building as is pretty much outside, just restore what's there, yeah?
That is correct. Yes. Yeah. We'll leave the building as it is on the outside. We'll probably take the awnings down. I think that's probably the biggest thing, but those are pretty beat up anyway. Those need to come off. Whether we keep them or replace them, that's to be determined.
So you found a lot of pigeon crab. You found a lot of things. Is there something that stands out that you saw that like, I can't believe this is still just laying on the ground?
No, it's funny you say that. We were tearing some of the old heat pumps out of there, and somebody had stuffed some old newspaper down in a floor, and I saw it, and I was like, no, everybody stop, like, wait a minute, I got to check this out. And so, like, I'm easily just picking this paper up, and it's literally kind of crumbling. It'd been down there a long time. I thought, man, I got something here. I've been waiting to find something cool, historic. And nah, it wasn't that old. I think it was from like the 70s or something, maybe even the 80s. It wasn't that old. I remember there was like a price fuel or something on there, and I go, well, it ain't that cheap. So it was still like, $1 a gallon or something. I'm like, all right, it's not that old then.
Yeah, when we took over the Carnegie Museum building, the old Carnegie Library that was built in 1905, we found one of these Gunter chains that was used to measure the bricks, the spacing of the bricks.
Oh, no.
The concrete bricks at the base of it, and that was like gold. I mean, we have that on display at the museum, but finding those types of things, that building has gone through a lot. The Bastille obviously has gone through a lot, but that's not part of this project, no.
No, the Bastille is definitely separate. A lot of people mistake the Bastille between the courthouse. The courthouse is a totally separate building, and that's probably the first thing I get out of anybody I talk to. They always say, "Oh, you took the Bastille." It's like, no, it's the courthouse. It's the bigger building next door, and it's funny because everybody knows. It seems like the Bastille name is way more recognized than the courthouse, and in all honesty, the courthouse is 1,000 times better than the Bastille. And we originally looked at the Bastille, and we can talk about that if you want at any given time. That was a whole nother deal years ago with the city.
Yeah.
That fell through. But, Jason was the one that actually, I give him all the credit for the courthouse. He says, hey, years later, he says, what about the courthouse? And I said, oh, I never really thought about it. And I was the same one. I was guilty of it too. I thought, man, you always said the Bastille is so cool. And then we got looking at the courthouse. So I got through. I was like, what were we thinking? There's way more opportunity here. And then as our minds started going, we realized, oh wow, this is bigger than us. Like, I don't know how we're going to do this. This is crazy. But it seems like that's when we're our best. We get over our heads on something, and I think we do it to ourselves all the time. We get over our heads on certain things, and I think we come out wildly successful. I think it brings out the best in us, when we're really challenged, and this is definitely one of them.
Definitely, without a doubt. So I'm not putting you to the wall on this, but there's a lot of people that are concerned, like, how long is this going to take? They're excited to hear all of this, but realistically, it's going to take a while to put all this together.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Yeah, I mean, we all want stuff to happen overnight, none of us have any patience. This one's a big one. This is going to take a few years. I'm going to say minimum 3. Where the bottom stuff, we'll get tenants in there, hopefully within the next 6 months on the basement floor and the second floor. That's our goal by the end of this year. That will help us offset our burden of insurance and taxes and utilities and things like that we have to pay. At least we can try and break even, and we're not bleeding out, which is where we're at right now. So we really trying to do our best to make a suite and a spot available for a great small business and get them in there, get them established. And then what's going to happen is we're still continuing to work. We're just working. We're never going to stop working. We're continuing to work upstairs. I actually have a couple people interested in partnering with us for food up there, which will happen. So that will take place upstairs, and we're gonna have a great food purveyor up there, and we're gonna have BarrelHouse up there. Everybody's gonna have to walk by every one of those businesses downstairs to get upstairs. They're gonna walk by all of them. It's gonna be an amazing building, and it's gonna change Hanford.
It will definitely change Hanford. You have a huge vision for this building, and it's great. We can hear the excitement in your voice about it, and that makes us excited about that. And you mentioned these businesses, possibly you're looking for businesses to fill in some of these suites. And I noticed on your website at esteemedlandco.com, you actually have the listings and how to contact you for bases. And I know maybe some of these people that are interested in the Wealth Center building might partner up with you on that. Esteemed Land Co. is also on Facebook and Instagram, and you can follow along with some of their projects in Paso and Visalia, and of course, BarrelHouse locations in Fresno and on the coast. And Kevin, it's been wonderful visiting with you today, and I know that people are very excited for the opening of this building. And what would you like to say to the community about your commitment to this project?
We're definitely committed. We're pot committed. So this will happen. It's be patient. Come see us. Go on our website, call us, email us, fill out an inquiry online. We would love to have any of your ideas. If you have a suggestion, an idea, we're open, man. I want to hear it all. We have our ideas. Some people have better ideas than us. We're not perfect. So yeah, I'd love to hear from anybody else that might be interested in renting the building, leasing, or renting a space in the building, leasing a spot. We have a couple really cool locations. I'd love to walk anybody. If anybody's got an idea for their own business, I'd love to walk them through. We'll do as much as we can to accommodate their business so their tenant improvements are cost effective and they're not as much out. That's a big thing for small business. A lot of people fail to realize that it costs money. When you lease a place, it's not just ready to go. You got to brand it. You got to make it yours. You might have to paint it, put floor covering in, do the electrical. You might have to move mechanical around or something. And that's thousands of dollars. It sounds easy, but it's expensive. I can, go talk to the acai place or the cafecito. Those people have $100,000 into a building they don't own. We have well over millions of dollars into buildings that we don't own. But that's the commercial market. And a lot of people fail to understand that small businesses encompass that. So our goal, knowing that, because we're on both ends, we lease buildings as BarrelHouse, and we own buildings. So we're on both sides of the spectrum. So our goal is to try and get the suite as close as we can, where a small business can get in and be successful, and they're not out a huge amount on their TI. We can't do their TI for them, but we can try and at least get the infrastructure in place for them as close as possible to mitigate those costs for them. And that makes a secure tenant. If they're successful, that means they're paying their rent, and we're successful as a building owner. And we want strong tenants, and we want them to be successful. It's a partnership, and we recognize that. We don't want to just throw somebody in there. We really want to see business survive. We're small business. They are, and it's a team. It's a team effort, and I would love to see that. And I think the courthouse is going to be the hottest spot in Hanford, bar none. It's going to be really exciting. So come see us, get online, fill out a request, ask questions, get involved, come check it out. We'd love to walk you through it.
And now it's time for Hanford Insider Sports with Eric Bentley.
In girls basketball, Sierra Pacific improved to 10-11 overall and 1-1 in league action, with two dominant victories last week, taking down Hanford West 79-10 on Monday and beating Reedley 83-10 in non-league action Friday, before Fogg canceled a Saturday showdown with Bullard. The Golden Bears will be at Selma on Tuesday this week, with the home game versus Kerman on Friday. It's been tough sledding in the WYL for the Hanford High girls basketball team as the Bullpups fell to 0-3 in league play, following a big loss to Tulare Union and a 10-point defeat at Tulare Western. With a non-league loss to Redwood on Saturday, the Bullpups have now lost 8 in a row, with another week of tough league action ahead at 3-0 Mission Oak on Wednesday, before hosting a Lemoore team that beat the Bullpups 40-37 earlier this year on Friday. And for Hanford West girls basketball, the only score we have reported was the loss to Sierra Pacific. The Huskies will play at Exeter on Tuesday and home versus Emmanuel on Thursday. In boys basketball, Hanford High picked up a pair of wins, 71-44 versus Tulare Western, and at Redwood 68-52 after falling to Tulare Union earlier in the week. The Bullpups at 1-2 in league play will look to keep that momentum rolling on the road this week at Mission Oak on Wednesday and Lemoore on Friday. A tough week versus tough competition for the Sierra Pacific boys basketball team last week, falling to the top two teams in the league in Kingsburg and CVC, then taking a non-league loss to Stone Ridge Christian. Despite losing 3 in a row, the Golden Bears are still above 500 on the year at 11-10 overall, with a good chance to improve their 1-2 league record this week at home versus Soma on Tuesday and Hanford West on Thursday. As for the Hanford West boys basketball team, they remain winless in league after falling to Washington Union and Exeter last week, with games versus Kerman on Tuesday and that matchup at Sierra Pacific Thursday. In soccer, make it 5 in a row for the Sierra Pacific boys soccer team after taking down Emmanuel 3-2 and shutting out Kingsburg 3-0 to improve to 6-5-5 overall and 3-0 in league play. The first place Golden Bears will take on Hanford West this Friday. Hanford High boys soccer played to a pair of draws last week versus Tulare Union and Tulare Western and now sit at 0-1-2 in league. The Bullpups will play at Mission Oak on Wednesday and at Lemoore on Friday. And Hanford West boys soccer fell to Washington Union and CVC last week, with games versus Kingsburg and Sierra Pacific this week. The 9-2-2 Hanford High girls soccer team split their 2 league games last week, taking down Tulare Union 2-1 on Tuesday before falling to league-leading Tulare Western on Thursday 1-0. At second place in the WIL, a pair of favorable matchups await the Bullpups this week at home versus Mission Oak on Wednesday and Lemoore on Friday. And the only other girls soccer score we have reported from last week was a 7-0 Sierra Pacific win over Hanford West. As always, if you have a score report or a team update from any level, you can let us know by emailing hanfordinsider@gmail.com. I'm Eric Bentley, and this has been your Hanford Insider Sports Report.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week's show. If you enjoyed this podcast and you'd like to show your support, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Hanford Insider to make a donation. If you'd like to join the Hanford Insider email list, stop by my website at hanfordinsider.com to sign up for updates. You'll also get an exclusive copy of my newsletter in your inbox each week. I also need your help getting the word out about the show by liking and sharing on social media, or like most people, just telling a friend. For more information about the show, you can find this podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, and YouTube at Hanford Insider. If you have a show idea, be sure to email me at hanfordinsider@gmail.com and I'll look into it. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.